Good morning and welcome to Show Me Towers on this beautiful summer's day. I think it's the first type of show, and it's not a full 80 because obviously I gracefully bowed out after 7 or 8 years of being right up there. Mick has been saying he's going to do a couple more, but that's on Mick, that one. This is just a catch up, bit of a crack, hopefully, just to give you an idea, a bit of content, not too deep. Lads, wasn't not too deep, try not to get involved in a load of arguments. I'm not going to try and give too many honest opinions on clubs because, obviously that's what the trouble that we caused last time.
Isn't a good debate good fun, though? Isn't a good...
Well, freedom of speech is just unfunny. It is a conflict, but, as we said, let's hope the clubs are bigger and we don't have to go down that street if we don't get too deep. I suppose it's the same old cliche, innit? If you say good things about somebody, they think your show's fantastic. If you put the boot in, then you consider it to be, that's getting too close. I love honesty, but obviously I'm,
dying breed.
A dying breed, yeah. They certainly don't want you talking too straight, but we'll try our best. We'll have a catch up and a bit of fun with it all, not too deep. And this is what people have been asking. A big thank you, by the way, to I want to say the many hundreds of thousands, but the many hundreds of people who've actually said they missed the show. Everywhere we go, people pull us and say, "Can you not come back and do some content and do this and do that?" We'll try and put something in. We did have some video sessions with players, a bit of coaching, and hopefully we can catch up on that and do little things for you that are a bit different. Maybe a couple of after-game interviews and shows and that. But we'll kick off with this one. And I thought, what a great place to start the show. I'm gonna start the show. We'll start it off first of all with the Challenge Cup. Yeah. So obviously we've just finished the weekend, and I managed to watch most of the games. I think there were 2 on television or 3, and we obviously watched the highlights. And I did a little bit of, I don't know if anybody's like me, but I watch it and I've got the commentary, and so you're probably tracking 2 or 3 games. Mary finds it hilarious that I can actually flick from Radio Manchester, Radio Leeds, and I'm just flicking everywhere to try and get some action. Obviously our players, so we can give them a little bit of feedback, but give us guys the I'm going to put the performance of the weekend. And this might sound a bit daft, but Gailey rang me after seeing Lee, and he said to me in panic, "Craig, they're not just good, they're very good." He said it's the best shape I've seen thrown at for a long time. He said they've got no weaknesses. He said, I don't know what everyone's saying, but he thinks they've got a chance of winning it. He said Oggy Holmes had said to him, pulled Oggy and said, "Oggy, what are you seeing within the camp?" And Oggy said, "Cast 2017. Wow. He said the lads are all at a certain age that they want to do something. And I went to Lee to meet him. We're going to deal with somebody that'll come out, but we went. And I saw Rob Malone. Rob's been to Leeds, Hull KR, Warrington. And they were bouncing off walls. Rob were bouncing off the walls. He said, "Craig, I've never been as happy. This is the best culture we've ever had." He goes, he can't wait to get to work. I think Lammy must have a real difference of like coaching, where I think he's got a bit of that, but he's also lets them be lads. A bit of the Wayne Bennett model, where Wayne says, "Listen, they're all grown-ups. Go and enjoy yourself as long as you stay together." There's definitely that there. I think they go out together, they go this together. There's a lot of team building within them. So I'm going to give that one as the performance. I think there could be a great outside bet to win it. I don't know what price they are, obviously we can't, but whatever. But I think I think they've got a chance. And I tell you what, there were 2 teams. If you look historically, Leeds, Saints, Wigan, Warrington, let's just say we put them as the big 4. One of them's out. Leeds. Oh God, George, just give me a look then. Did that a bit too quick?
What, you're writing him off for getting...
Is that a bit too quick for you? So Leeds are out, the rest are in the...
Why say
no,
that?
I'm going to say that...
Just Challenge Cup you're on about here, yeah?
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about.
I'm
just saying the draw...
I thought Gailey was on about Lee having a chance of winning the grand final.
Whatever.
Yeah, you've swapped you've swapped midway through your sentence.
We're talking about the Challenge Cup,
right,
so...
Okay, just the Challenge
Cup. Carry on, because it'll get boring if you stop people. So if we then talk...
You make up your mind
and then,
when you're talking.
I think the top 3 will have... I don't think no one wants to draw Lee. And I think maybe KR a little bit like that, where you go... The big guns usually You can write usually who gets to Challenge Cup final. Like, let's be honest, we're quite a predictable sport. Challenge Cup final, we've had 2 or 3 little ones. Cass got there when they maybe shouldn't have done in a certain year. And
Huddersfield got there last year.
Huddersfield.
Was no massive surprise, was it really?
But I don't think when the draws come out, nobody wants to. I think Lee and KR are the 2 that people go, oof, I don't know if I fancy that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah.
Well, that's my performance of the weekend, and that's my team of the weekend for the Challenge Cup. Joe?
Yeah, we'll keep it on Challenge Cup track at the moment, and I think the performance of the weekend has got to be probably Hull KR's performance. I think 50. Was it 50-0? I think
against Batley at home.
Yeah, not against Batley. I think Batley are a very tough Championship side, and I think for Hull KR to just put them away so soundly is a big positive for them, that they're just chugging away. They're just chugging away.
What does chugging mean?
Chugging away.
Yeah,
it's a very famous term of phrase. They're just chugging away. They just keep going. They keep going. They keep going.
Like a train.
Like a train. Yeah. I'll teach you someday, Dad. Chugging away like a train. So then it's eventually getting there. So then I think they're a Challenge Cup threat. I think they're probably my favourite to win the Challenge Cup. I don't know if they can win the league. I think they might just need to win something first, get that winning culture in like a Challenge Cup, to then take the next step up to winning the Super League maybe in next year or the year after. But I think a Challenge Cup victory for Hull KR is a big positive for this year.
Jimbo?
I didn't see the performance, so I'm purely judging on when I looked at the scores. I went to the York-London game, which was quite a bizarre game. You know, London in the first half looked like they'd got the game won as long as they kept doing what they were doing. And then York came out in the second half with a spring in the step, and London literally didn't get a look in. I think it might have been 34-0 in the second half, so that was a very good half performance, and they've ended up with Lee in the next round. So the old rivalry.
At York?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it's at.
Find that out, Sam, if you don't mind, just so we can put that up.
Hopefully at York, to make it a bit more interesting. They're
Sam
still
can put that drawer up, and then we all...
Yeah, they're still... I mean, it's a depleted York team again. It's a recurring theme. So it was... You know, I actually fancied London to beat them. So it was a big surprise that second half. But based on the scores, and I've only seen parts of it, I've got to go with Halifax to get, I think, 26-6 against Saints.
I watched it.
So I don't know like how the narrative of the game, but in terms of on paper, that's an extremely good result, isn't it? I mean, I think Saints are starting to gather a bit of speed. There was certainly a big following going from Saints. I believe it was a pretty strong team from Saints as well. They didn't chuck all the kids in. So fair play to Halifax, who've had a bit of a, indifferent season so far in the league. Again, they look like they're starting to gather a bit of speed. So, I mean, there's not many Super League teams that can get within 20 of Saints on a good day. Anyway, so that's, for me, on paper, I'm going to give it to Halifax Panthers.
It's weird, because I watched that game, and Halifax were good, but Saints didn't really get a proper hold of the game. But they always looked like they were going to win, which is expected based on the salary cap difference and because of Saints being potentially one of the best teams in the world. You're right, they did dig in. And the other game I watched, obviously, the Leeds-Wigan, and I don't know whether this is going to sound really corny or whatever, but the week before when Leeds won, if you watched the game, you were scratching your head. It was total head scratcher.
Yeah, bizarre.
Leeds got 2 interceptions, got this, got that. It's the most bizarre game. I spoke to the coach, Matty P, and Matty were like, I can't believe we lost it. I know where we lost it. I can't believe it happened. It was great. But I thought this was a bit crazy. This game, I think it's all... I don't know whether that's just the way Rowan plays and Leeds play. So it's playing Leeds is going to be crazy. Like, it's going to be... Once that structure, whatever, doesn't work and the shape doesn't work, it's let's go time. Now, historically, they always did that. Against, please, I'm trying not to be too straight here. They had the players to do that before. They had the arse to do it and play that game. I think playing Leeds must be so hard to actually defend where they're going to go. Harry got the stick, and I thought there were a bit of Jamie Peacock. What he said, I thought were amazing, and it took a brave person. He is a brave person. He proved it at the ice table. But before the game, he highlighted Harry's a bit of that Harry Leaston, and there's no iron team, and he called it, and not many people dare call that, and he did. He said, Harry needs to become that top player, which we all think he is. He needs to believe in his teammates. He needs to become a good teammate so they respect you.
Yeah.
Well, Harry goes clear and gets away with murder by doing shampoo, doing passing, and gets on that line. And you're thinking, wow, I can't believe he's done that. Even when he got it through, I said, this is crazy, didn't I? This is crazy what he's just done. At that level, you very rarely see somebody be that, I'm going to say selfish, but whatever.
You've got to, yeah.
And then 5 minutes to go, he gets the chance of a lifetime. And I'm trying to get my head around this, thinking in my head, what happened last time I got away with it? My teammates behind posts had probably not celebrated brilliantly, thinking, because we know how lads think, you're selfish, you made it about you, Harry, whatever. And you're thinking, I can win game, I can redeem myself, I can play a passing side to win game and show everybody that I have got that side to me. And he runs it through and gets tackled. And I think Rowan said, some people have stuck up for him saying the player in front. Bollocks. That's just not how I saw it. I don't think Harry was going to... I think he did what he did. Now, JP said it again after the game. He called it again. Best thing, this is a good one for Harry, because he said, what a talent. What a talent. We don't want to lose Harry because of certain things within our game, that Harry. But I'll tell you what, a day with JP, he'd probably do it world of good. Honestly, going for a walk with somebody like him, and him saying, how come you become the best forward in the world for 4 or 5 years, one of the best back rowers, then one of the best. How do you become that man who can write an autobiography that nearly best sells because people just want to hear your story? JP can walk around Leeds and there's standing ovations. Now, everyone in the corporate, they love him.
Just respect everywhere, isn't it?
And it'll be interesting. The Harry story's going to be interesting because he's had interesting rugby union in. If you know rugby league like we do, if there's a bit of thing in selfishness, there'll be 15 clubs will take Harry, they'll take him as selfish, they'll not be bothered. They will have no problem taking Harry. And I've heard little things, we've all heard the little things about Harry, getting this, that's happened. Let's get back to the table with Harry. Let's just share the pure talent to that kid who was... And you know what? For a kid, he works so hard to get back, doesn't he? I don't think I've seen a player ever get injured but come back at a physical state he does. He is a machine. He must be.
There's no question mark against his determination.
He's got something in him that must be that... you think about a Premier player, top. He's got it, hasn't he?
Yeah, ruthless determination. Yeah. That's what he's got.
Competitiveness and...
But like you say, it's how you get... Like the most diplomatic way I can view that situation is thinking of a striker at football who's greedy. And at times it's extremely frustrating because he could have squared it to his teammate and it's a tapping goal, but he's so high on confidence and he's so determined and he wants to be that high-scoring, goal-scoring centre forward. His first thought is to go himself. Now, I've thought for a long time, he's a centre, and we've talked about it before on the show, where I feel his first intention is for him to try and score, not to put his winger in. That's where I'd differentiate him from someone like Liam Sutcliffe, who would always look to set up his winger. So that situation really highlights, if you're thinking about scoring the try yourself, back pages, superstar, it's understandable because that's how he is and that's how he's bred. But in a team game, when that happens and it really highlights it, which a lot of the time it's more subtle, then, this could be the time where, like you say, that's perfect. Have a walk with JP. Yes, you as an individual, you can change games. There's not many players in that Leeds team now who can change a game and win a game on your own. And he probably feels that responsibility that if I don't do it, no one else can or no one else will. But
he did the week before,
a couple of interceptions. Absolutely. So you can understand it because it makes him the player he is, and he's an extremely good player. But it's clear he needs to just learn, and maybe this is it. Maybe this is going to be a massive moment I've seen something similar 10, 15 times, but it's never been as highlighted as this. So if it can end up being a positive, in my opinion, has it cost Leeds a game? Of course he has, because it was an easy pass, maybe pass, game's won. But I see why. Bevan does do a nice little shimmy to make him think, and you can see why. But for me, he wanted to score.
Yeah, no excuses.
He wanted to score, and that's an aspect that makes him a player he is, but it needs reining in a bit. Just like a goal scorer who sometimes will go himself and he will score most of the time, but always guarantee. If it's a guaranteed try or a guaranteed goal, take that option. And at other times when it's a 50-50, back yourself.
I often wonder, does that come from, and I'll challenge Rowan here. God, here we go. Does that come from, I think Rowan's coaching is to let them express themselves, and there's going to be a cap on that somewhere. I think Brian Mack, if he does that with Brian Mack, he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. If he chooses that and he has to walk past Mack, and Mack looks at him as he did, he would be. I think Rowan's more expressive in his coaching than Brian, and he wants these young men to express themselves. Yeah. But there's a fine line in expressing yourself for you and not the team. And I think that's what Rowan will address. I'm sure he has. He's very stern, Rowan, when he talks to you. If he's that way out, Rowan, he'll put it on you a bit and he'll be straight. I often watch in talks with him, and it can be very quietness is sometimes a weapon. And Rowan will just sit and not say much and think, go on then, see what you're going to say, and then he'll stand back and you're thinking, what's he thinking? So it's a bit. I think Rowan needs to be the person. If it is JP, but it needs to be Rowan first, who said, you won us game last week.
Yeah.
And people talk about interceptions being a talent. It is a talent, but it also means that you're cheating in defence a little bit. You're pushing up when you shouldn't be. Your mates are thinking, where you going? And you're 3 metres up, and you're stood there and you're absolutely petrified. And then you get the interception. I'm not saying historically bad defenders have been given interceptions. Usually we're an halfback. Gary Schofield were the best ever.
Yeah.
Richie Miley could probably do it. There's been players who I've watched over the years, you go, oh, they can do it.
You read it.
We had a player called Gaz Moore for years who was just, I bet Gaz did 20 of them. Gaz could just wait, and as soon as he knew it were on, but he put his defenders just to say, oh, Gaz, if they get that pass and they miss you out, we're numbered out.
Yeah.
But very funny game to watch and look, and I keep thinking, and we'll wrap, that's the Challenge Cup, and you look, and we've got some, Sam's going to tell us the fixtures. Here we go, Sam.
Yeah, draw Hull KR Salford.
Hull KR Salford.
York away.
It is at York.
At York, yeah. Wigan Warrington and Hull SC St Helens.
Wow. I tell you what, St Helens and all that. That's a great one. All on a bit of a run. Do you know what? I've watched Hull and they keep getting results. Good on Tony. Good on the club. They look like they're going in the right way. I like to think Truey. The minute Truey come back, they've got somebody else who can play football. Truey's still 8 weeks off where I think he can be, but they definitely look more shape in him, don't they?
Yeah.
I think they're relying on is it Clifford? Yeah. And now they've got Truey who's calling the shots. Truey's getting involved a lot more than I thought. I thought he'd just floated in out. He's doing all the talking and the shape, letting Clifford do the bit of stuff what Truey historically did. But we can't dodge it, lads. You first, Joe. Because if you go for contract talks, if we set you up here, they won't talk to you. But Cats are in some state. Absolutely. We'll go on to the league in a bit, but just that performance alone, where do you go?
God, I don't know. It was. I found it quite sad to watch.
Me
I know
too.
it was sad to watch because it was just I think you've got to hope that was the rock bottom for him. I think if you saw him get worse from there, that would be very tough to handle. I know the fans have been on Twitter. Everything's happening now around the club, innit? And I think I don't know, man. So I think they've got a lot of work to do, haven't they? I think Andy and the rest of them have got a lot of work to do. I think they've obviously it's been a gradual process over years, and it's been a slow decline, and I'm hoping that is rock bottom so they can realise and build back up. But I think they need to act soon and act quickly and get some things done both ways. Bring maybe some young players through, maybe make some signings now and just show the fans that they're hungry and they're not letting this happen any longer. They're not letting this slow decline get any worse than it already has done.
weird in it because we talk. If you descend from 18, 19, Cass are going to end up here, and KR from them being bottom of the league when Ryan Braley and them were there that year, them and Salford, and then they've gone up. You can't believe it, but if you know the game, and you'd be honest, you knew it were coming. Everyone knew it were coming. A lot of people within the game knew this was happening from 19 onwards. I think they've tried to sustain a team instead of build a team. I think they got that big thing and thought, right, if we can keep on winning games and keeping top six, that's the business model. You're on about young players, Joe. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's not been enough intensify on the young players. So you're hoping that some of them young players that we've got, hopefully come through. But they're going to have loads thrown at them to have any chance of that happening. And sometimes if you're concentrating on that top end to get that right, don't let me tell you, youth gets dropped. Not very many can maintain and coach that if they're thinking, oh my God, we're one defeat away from getting relegated. We're out with Challenge Cup. You're right, you've used the word rock bottom. I think it is rock bottom. And I think I don't know what you lads think, but when they announced Lasty as coach, I got asked quite a few times, and I said, well, I'll still get a job. And everyone were like, what do you? I said, well, they're doing interviewing. And this is not against Danny Wilson did the interviewing. Danny's brought in with Lasty. He's built with Lasty for 15 years. It'd have been very hard for them to pick somebody else and not Lasty. The lads love Lasty. Lasty gets a lot of toffee on his coach, and I think Andy's a nice lad and all, by the way. And sometimes you think Lasty wants the job. He wants that job, and I bet he could cringe now, but when they beat Leeds and they were dancing in changing rooms and you're thinking, Lasty's here, and you remember it on video? I was like, Lasty, that could come back to haunt you. Because if you go on a roll now, where's that cheapy Charlie now? They brought Craig, your man in Joe, you like a lot. Lingard.
Yeah, assistant coach.
Well, that's also a sign of a coach who can coach low-paid players. That's what he's been known for. The best coach in the Championship for getting the best out of a budget that is low. Let's all be honest. That's what everybody knows him as. What a job he's done, but it's all about... Now, he knows the Championship market better than anybody. But as a fan, do I want to know that? As a fan of Cass, when I've been to a grand final, I've been to Challenge Cup finals, am I thinking, are they bringing this in so they can do that and get with a lower player and get the best out of them? And get Craig to go into Championship and try and fish 5 or 6. The word sustaining again, innit? But what you're sustaining at the moment, second from bottom. I wouldn't like to be sustaining that, would you?
No. I mean,
it just looks to me, and I spoke to Mark last night, Grattan. That's Mark, you're right.
Good man.
No, I'm talking out loud, I spoke to Gratz last night, and he I think they're all a bit mimmy because Mark never saw this coming. I know we did a podcast at the start here and we were very damning where we thought the recruitment was. We put them second to bottom and Mark put me up on it and said, wow, that's a harsh call, Craig. I thought it were an obvious call that they would be in that bottom bit. Radders, you know what I mean? I think it's been a tough gig for everybody. I'm going to put it on you, Jimmy Mack. How did they get out of this?
I like this. Go on, Jim.
I certainly don't think they get out of it in the short term. It's becoming a bit of a rhetoric in rugby league circles that Cass must be very thankful that Wakey are struggling like they are this year because they could end up being arguably the worst team if this continues that don't get relegated. So surely now, and I assume this is with the announcement of Lingard, surely now it's got to be start planning for next year. Whatever will be this year, obviously they've got to make sure they beat Wakey in that massive head-to-head. But it's what they do now in the longer term with all the IMG things. Our understanding is that Castleford, along with Wakefield, and probably Salford as well, are the teams most at risk of losing that top-tier place. Now, Cass need to be thinking about next year and the year after, and I know we've used the word maintaining, but primarily maintaining and doing what they need to do to keep the top tier spot. And how do they start rebuilding? It's hard, isn't it? It sounds like the budget's going to be not massive next year. They're going to be recruiting and trying to find these players to start again. But if they can do what Hull KR did a few years ago, that's what they've got to try and do. They've almost set the model with Moneyball recruitment, bringing young players through. The big problem I feel that Castleford have got compared to
You call it Craig Ball, not Moneyball.
Craig Lingard ball. Yeah, no worries.
No, you know, you call it Craig Ball when you mentioned that.
Yeah, well, I didn't, I thought it'd be modest, but so the replicate what Hull KR did. I feel Castleford's problem is because, like you touched on before, that it doesn't seem very particularly focused on their academy and reserves over the last few years. They've not got those younger players coming through like Hull KR did. So Hull KR could recruit cleverly and let these young lads come through, the Mikeys, the Rowans and others. And, that's what worries me about Cass. It seems to me like it's all going to be based on recruitment, and that's very, very difficult.
Scares me. What a club, what an historic club. Our friends, you look at I was thinking of it the other day, and we talked about it earlier in the year, but God, you write down some of them teams, Solomona and Dawn and Junior Moors, and you're looking and going, Millingtons, and get 3 men of steel, Zach,
Macca,
Shane, Gale. Young player of year, Truman. Do you know what I mean? It was like it with this rock and roll 5 year. And I probably were all down to no. It's a sad thing because we've all got affection for them, haven't we?
Yeah.
I still say you go to Cass on a Friday night, it's one of the nicest places to go, and it's just atmosphere is good, and we didn't want it to happen at the start of the year. We didn't want them and Wakey. I didn't anyway. I personally didn't want them and Wakey.
Being from West Yorkshire as well.
Well, just didn't want them. Just didn't want two historic clubs fighting. We're not Wakey. Listen, Wakey. I've got one on Cass here. This is why I see it. Wakey have started building that stand. So there's a bit of... So if you're a player, you go... And I want to say this publicly. I hope they don't mean any... And this is... Don't shoot me for this. If Wakey went down, and we thought they would at start of the year because they 1 to 4 on to go down, whatever they want, and they do, they're not in a worse position than they probably are now. Because they could be favourite or second favourite to come back up.
Yeah.
We've got a new stadium, new stand. Wins bring in new people. So wins. Yeah. When the last time Wakey went on a 60-70% win ratio, which they will do in Championship, maybe 80-90. So all of a sudden, this rock and roll atmosphere, if they get the right players in, who are that, which I've always said to do that, you need the players who can play top champ and Super League. Also address the youth, what we said.
Yeah.
Mix it with them 2 or 3 absolute bangers. If you then you've got your model, you can take it forward. I said before, recruiting's about people who can recruit. I would never, and I've said this publicly, I don't believe in the coaches doing it. I think it's a separate job. Chris Chester's probably proven that. People keep saying where these players coming from. I'll tell you where they're coming from, Chris Chester. Because he did it at Wakey. They can call his coaching, whatever, you can judge it, and I thought he did a great job, by the way. He certainly got some signings that were unbelievable, right? He got some unbelievable signings. Well, what he's doing at Lee with them, that's because he's on it full time. Just he can ring 4 o'clock, boom, boom, boom. I'm over here, I've got there, I'm here, I'm looking at this player, that's what they're doing. Coach ain't got time to do that, and probably ain't got a passion for it. But we're in it, we're West Yorkshire, we've got Wakey.
Do you know what worries?
Joe asked me about not talking about this, but I think we should. Like, you've got that Cass situation now, you've got Andy Last, Craig and Lingard, we've got Mark Applegarth has got the job change Fords. Do we call it bailed out? Is it a strong word and he's my friend? Or do we say whatever? And I've warned, I said to Fordy, this is what people are going to think has happened. Like, you've had a look at league table, you've had a look at what's coming, and you've gone, it's been great, guys, not for me. And he's jumped to Featherstone as director of football, where they're favourites to go up. So Fordy could be jumping on an escalator and pressing up. Wakey coming down and Fordy's passing Mark and lads, and you're thinking, ooh, rugby league's a funny sport for that to happen, and people putting the boot in and long memories, isn't it? I didn't like the thing of Longy. I always thought Longy, and I said this to you both in time, they had a 100% record. The only club in the world to have an 100% record is Featherstone. A challenge on that.
Dewsbury have also.
Dewsbury 100% record, good call.
Until this weekend.
So you wouldn't have thought there's anything going wrong, would you? You'd have thought, well, where the last person you want to change anything is at Featherstone. Now, whether they've seen things around the club and underneath the club what they're not happy about, and they've approached Fordy and said we want somebody off the field to improve all this.
In preparation
if
for
I were
St.
Longy, I'd be
Louis.
absolutely fuming.
Why? You've literally just said, you've contradicted yourself.
Well,
Now. You've just said in a sentence, coaches shouldn't be recruiters, and they brought Fordy in as director of rugby to recruit. So it's taking that recruitment job off Longy, so he can coach.
But Fordy's a coach.
Yeah, but he's been hired as director. Chris Chester was a coach.
But Chessy's strength were always, apologies for this, I'll debate this week. Chessy's strength as a coach was always players. It wasn't on the field. No, I'm saying. So it wasn't on the field. Fordy's strength as a coach historically has been, not in the transfer market, it's been.
But he's have to change that. A director of rugby roles not to coach. They do the youth and the recruiting, and I think that's what Fordy's gonna have to do. If he's come as a coach, you would be pissed about. He's not. He's coming as a director of rugby, and I think.
Do you think Longy embraces that?
I think he should, as the Chris Chester role shows, as the thing shows. As long as Fordy doesn't, that's a conversation between Fordy and Longy. And if Longy says you do that, I'll do this, I don't see any issue as long as the boundary's in place. But I think as long as everyone respects the boundary of coach, director of rugby, I literally don't see an issue.
Good point, Joe.
Spot on, And we know Fordy had a very hands-on approach with recruitment for the vast majority of his time at York. So his coaching and his belief in ability to spot players and talent links in directly with the recruitment side.
I know Fordy probably best. I genuinely didn't see that in Fordy. I do see structures, and I think if Longy's an off-the-cuff coach, which they're saying he is, he can see things banging it what other people can't understand. So Longy, they're saying, can see it's not happening.
Yeah, it's got a rugby brain.
So that's quick. Whereas Fordy, I think his detail is best I've seen, and I've seen with coaches that's been a top coach in here, and the other coach who's well up in the ladder said, "Wow, that detail's as good as what I've seen." So it'll be great. What Joe's saying, it's a different role, and we want people to do that. So you're right, Hartley, you're right.
That's the key.
I just want to pick Fordy. I've never seen Fordy watch other games a lot. I've never seen Fordy be interested. Fordy can be quite. It's be interesting, and this is funny. Quite damning on a talent. Fordy can just go bang, and you go. And I'm on about top players where he's judged them immediately, and you've gone. You cannot be judging him immediately, and he has. He said, "Well, he's not as good as Mike Marsh. He's not as good as him." I said, "Well, he's not going to be his 18, but give him a bit of time, it'll be better." Fordy's always been on that thing here and now. I think he did it at Wakey. It was like, so it'll be interesting if Fordy does buy into that.
Yeah, we'll have to adapt.
Or maybe Chessie. Chessie's done here and now, hasn't he? Chessie's not gone for a lot of young players. At least he's gone and gone.
I'm totally with Joe. I think it could work brilliantly. But what you're saying is what a lot of people are seeing. From the outside, it looks, well, Grim Reaper's hovering above, waiting to get his chance to get back into coaching. Does James Ford, as a coach, is he ready to become a director of rugby? Typically, it's a job that people have at a much later stage of the career. That's why there's suspicion. But if it does work, and you've got that perfect partnership between Longy is clearly, as you said, he's all about a rugby brain, and he's probably one of those coaches who, the Roy Keane style, where he wants a certain way, but sometimes the players can't do what he wants, whereas Ford has been very successful at knowing what level his players are at and playing to their strengths and being more structured. It could be the perfect combination, or it'll all be up in smoke within 6 months. It'll be one extreme or the other.
Very definitely interesting and volatile. There's some characters there. Among Longy's a character, Leon Price a character, Fordy will hold his own. Mark Campbell's a character. So you've got four.
I like it. It's quite exciting to me, that balance.
If you're Halifax, Sheffield, Toulouse, York, Bradford, if you look at what's happened there, this disruption at Featherstone, and I've got to call it disruption because that's largely how it's been perceived.
What do you mean?
If you're at one of the other top championship clubs and you look at what's happened over the last couple of weeks at Featherstone, which is disruption.
What's that?
James Ford going in.
Oh, just Ford.
What we're talking about.
Why is that a disruption?
Yeah, listen, Joe, you've got it wrong here. Don't try and mask it.
No, I've not tried to. I've not seen it.
Longy would have been absolutely fuming, let me tell you. And I can tell you because I know. when that were first mentioned, Longy's not gone, whoa, he's gone, are you fucking kidding? Without a doubt.
I wasn't trying to mask it.
Sorry.
I generally just didn't.
So that was it. And then Longy's got his head round it and he's starting to look at the positives that come with it.
Yeah.
But it has been a shock to somebody who had a 100% record, whether we believe in that role. That's us, our belief. Certainly Sean Long's probably gone, what?
I guess I don't think
you're going to sit a bloke.
Yeah.
You're going to sit a bloke who's been at Championship. He mentioned it. You're going to sit a bloke who's been at Championship 5 years at York, hovering above me. And if I make one mistake, including playoffs, I'm capable of going bang. Mark's never been scared of pulling a trigger. He's pulled on it on Powley when I did 100, but Andy were gone. John Davis, John Bastian, Duffy. Sorry, not Davis. John Duffy.
Brian Mack.
Brian Mack. I keep some more.
The Aussie.
This historical thing. Mark don't think he's going right. He's probably the biggest outlaw. He's probably the biggest one. He'll just go bang.
So what I'm asking is, if you're at one of the other clubs and this has been perceived as big disruption, when Fev were just bouncing along, looking like it's going to be very hard to beat them, massive favourites to win the grand final. Now this is going on, which maybe it's all fine behind closed doors, but maybe there is this is a bit of a shock. Does that mean that this actually could end up being, ironically, the thing that causes Fev to start to rock? Does that make them more gettable? Is it something teams use against him? Are they more vulnerable?
Long term. Listen, one thing about Fordy, we all know him. Fordy is an anorak of rugby league.
Is that a yes or no? I was genuinely asking a question.
You couldn't say now whether it'll be a bad thing because you'd have to watch and then make a comment. You'd have to watch.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
And you
saying
probably need to know of players.
Could it open it up?
You've got players there. You probably get the feedback and thingy. But bottom line, history will tell you whether it's the right move. Do I want one of the others to go up, Jimmy? Probably. Who's the problem for the game is?
Who's ready?
Who is ready? Because you don't want a club who are not. You can't do that to the Super League. Is we're with TV deal now, and our pockets are getting emptier by the day. The last thing we want is a club who are not prepared for next year. And we go, oh yeah, they're in, and then we go and sign some. Featherstone are making inroads to try and do it for next year. Yeah. If one of the others get up now, this is for the game talking. It'll be a nightmare in Elm Street.
Excepting Toulouse. I think they're the only two teams who are
ready. Toulouse now, Jimmy. How do they flick that round?
With reinvestment to go again, but
they'd have to sign 10, 15 people.
They'll get 6 players off Catalan straight away, like we did last time.
No, I'm not with that. They come down last time.
I know they came down last time.
They were better prepared last time. They had the best team. They didn't lose a game. They were brilliant. This time they won't nowhere near.
No, I'm not saying the Toulouse team that we've got now. No, I agree. It's miles off the team we had last time. But are Toulouse in a situation where they can? I don't know enough about that club to reinvest. But if they, for me, we've had this discussion lots. But IMG for me want Toulouse as the next team back in, and are Toulouse able with their Sky money and their own money to knowing they've got the security of 2 or 3 years to actually build properly? So I just think they're the only 2 teams who are ready now. Sheffield, Halifax, Bradford, anyone else. It's not the right time, in my opinion.
With the infrastructure, I guess, what you're saying is the infrastructure to Toulouse is there, isn't it? Like, every player commented how amazing it was to go travel to Toulouse. The fans love going and visiting Toulouse in France, didn't they?
That just, honestly...
as a team, no. But as an infrastructure, as a...
And I don't know what the money's like. Are they ready to put another couple of million in when they go up?
The word is no.
Well, that's worrying then.
They would have done it this year, wouldn't they, to come straight back up?
You know it. Gosh.
No, I don't think they would, because I think they're very confident that in 2025 they go up.
With the grade?
With IMG.
Yeah, but
no, they can't get it. They're still going to win.
No,
unless they get a B last.
No, that's only a small section is on-field performance. If Toulouse is still top 2, 3, which they will be, they're only a tiny bit down on points. So Toulouse, I think, are confident that in 2025 they will be put back in Super League.
That's a risk, though, because then there are teams that you've mentioned that aren't ready now are all planning to be ready in 2025. So that will be a gun shoot. Why won't you just be ready? If they had the money, why wouldn't they just be ready now?
Joe. And let me say this: a direct to IMG. There needs more. We've had that. We discussed this on one of the last shows. We did all the licensing and what we're going to make. We're here and did his thing, but I've not heard of it since. It's just unbelievable what IMG are doing and not putting their head above parapet here on a lot of things and a lot of direction. That TV deal is shitting up. Every single person I talk to in the game keeps saying that TV deal. Everyone's saying it. Everybody. They think if they drop it, the word is that they're going to sustain it and keep it as it is. This is what they're praying happening. But if they drop it, it is just going to go. They're going to have to put 4 or 5 things in place quick. If that gets dropped, they're going to have to. And I've got some ideas I'll talk about afterwards, which we can all have a chat about. But that, I hope IMG have got it ready, because this TV deal is everything for us. Everything.
Yeah.
Going back to what we said about Wakey. Yeah, Fordy going. It's weird actually, because Fordy and Mark are big mates. And I watched some of the comments that that they made in the press about the attack, and I was like, they were close to bone stuff. It was. And I spoke to Mark about it, and Mark said, I spoke to Fordy. I didn't mean it to come out like that. Like, we've been playing with strains on, and we haven't been, and that's because of certain reasons. Well, Fordy obviously must have thought, are you kidding? That's directly at me. The chains are coming off now. Fordy's gone. He's been keeping it too structured and like detailed, and it's funny, because it's hard, this game. It's hard. Mark got the job on the back of being the director of football, Willie and Franny. I would say that Willie and Franny won't, and Mark don't talk. It's one in, see you later. Well, we know they don't talk. Mark's then gone in, and he's got, with Fordy, a 20-year friendship. That's got to stay paramount with them. It's got to, hasn't it? They're both lovely lads. Mark's got this, and I thought about this, Fordy going, does that have a ripple effect where even you can buy us in a bit of time? If you say, let's say you say Fordy, shackles are on all the time. But if Mark done with his next 2 or 3 games, everyone's going to go, you've just said that and there's no else changed.
I don't think people think that deeply.
Why? Because
I just don't think.
Well, Lee just pumped him, so immediately it's.
I can tell you 3 players in the team who said that to me. Interesting what happens now, because that's been commented as being the shackles were on. Will the shackles come off? If you'd made a comment like that, do you get me? Mark took that job probably knowing.
But only if they score points in the next few games, and so.
Yeah, well, then you could do what Watto did against Salford. If you watch that game, it's the worst game of rugby I've ever seen for defensive ever. I spoke to Paul Rowley yesterday. I said, Paul, I can never watch that again. But Ian came on and said, I thought we were a lot better in attack. We scored 30-odd points. And the game was the worst game I've ever. Honestly, it was just like a game of tag rugby league.
Well, when did a team last score 40 points and not win a game?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you can.
Yeah, he's agreeing with you.
Yeah, you can't pull up the will, can you? Surely,
Bradford did it.
I watched it.
I
watched it in crying with laughter at the interviews because Paul were embarrassed. Paul came on and they were like, well, I don't know what to say. Like, we had a grip at game in first 20, and then after that, I don't want to talk about it because it's just like some out of a Nino. But Ian came on with a little positive spin. Hey, a bit more in attack. I'm like, just consider. You're a top contender. You've conceded 40 in a Challenge Cup game, and we're talking about your attack.
42, wasn't it?
40.
It's craziest thing I've ever heard. I could not believe I was like.
But that's the running joke with Watson now, isn't it? It's like process. Oh, there's positive signs there. So next week we've addressed that now, and next week it's like, well, you were being tipped to win the Super
I've
League.
I've never been in disbelief like it. I was thinking, and if you watch it, when Ian said it, I were actually with it. I'm like, yeah, good point. And then when you look back, you think, wait a minute, we're taking away from the fact is you're 5th from bottom at league. You've knocked out a Challenge Cup.
You've gone from bottom.
3rd from bottom. You've gone to one of your neighbours and you've got rinsed, i.e. close game. But Salford were always in control of that game. Don't let anybody tell you any different. They were that far in front in first 25. You thought it would have been 60. Q went on rack and they scored a lot of points in the last 10 minutes and then it brought it a bit closer. And it's weird, we'll look at that situation. Let's put these two. God, we're going through. We've got these bad news things at the moment, haven't we? We've got.
Let's keep it a bit positive.
I know. And we've got. Is it Salford? Salford. We've got Salford, who everyone in the game cannot believe how well they've done. What are we doing? Everyone in the game can't believe how well they've done on the pitch. Paul Rowley deserves the medal. He deserves it, the Coach of the Year, nearly already. Because if it's true what's going off behind the scenes and he's keeping that going. Honestly, it's probably the best coaching job, one of them I've ever seen. I cannot believe where he's in the league based on the squad he had against Huddersfield. And I'm watching it thinking, he's even having to play players. You said the other day, Joe will not mention them. That if they, when they played Leeds, you was that if they had 2 or 3 players who were not champions, that'd be just unbelievable. You forgot that.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, you rang me. He said, Daddy, if they had a better there, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
So, you're looking at the job he's doing, he's sensational. And who would you like to watch play? You watch them play, they're just unbelievable.
Yeah.
He said a thing to me the other day. We took a player to meet him. Not mentioned the player. And he did his coaching, Paul, with his team, and he talked about how he wanted him to play. He said, we don't create a number from play 1 to get yardage. We're looking to play. It's to play, to score. We're looking at every single angle on that board where there's an option to get you. I thought, that's another world. That's rolling it to another world. But then you've got what's coming off the pitch. Like everybody's doomed, honestly. The situations today going to kick off. Something's happened yesterday, and that's going to kick off. And you're thinking,
Where?
us as an agent, players I put in, and I'm saying to them yesterday, are we all right, lads? So I don't want to put somebody in, and then this all goes Pete on. They've gone to a share system with the fans. God knows how that works. They've used the Barcelona or this other model. I'm thinking, if it does explode in the next month, which is what everyone's saying, this is the truth. Everyone's saying it's, they can't let it happen. I spoke to Paul. Paul was so positive yesterday. He said it's not going to happen. Not going to happen, Craig. We're cracking on. Get ready. We're gonna take this. He said there'll be a good few bumpy roads, but watch what happens. And I trust him. Paul's got a bit of a. I shouldn't get on with Paul. Because I think he's got that bit of. It's quite sarcastic in a funny way, and he'll put it on you a bit. Usually, I probably have a go with that, but I actually think he's brilliant. A bit of that Jose Mourinho job, but I can't stop laughing when I come away thinking, God, he's got a lot of confidence in him, but he's proven it, innit? He's proved it at Toronto, he proved it at Lee.
Yeah.
He's walking that walk, innit?
Well, they're a team you'd pay to watch, aren't they?
Innit?
And there's not many.
Or would you rather be at moment?
On field.
You've got Huddersfield who are so. They've got Uncle Ken, and that's stable as the date as long as Ken's. But on the field, you'd text Salford every day, wouldn't you?
Well, the best team to watch for me, yeah. It's the old thing, isn't it? We'll score one more than you, or sometimes a few
Kevin
more
Keegan
than you.
won in Newcastle.
Kevin Keegan. Which is great for fans, and that's where Cass struggling, isn't it?
Well, that's where I struggle with Watto saying about how expressive they played and they're better in attack. I struggle with thinking, well, that's not you, Ian. You want to wear down a team and then hit them when you've got them by neck, and then you just. And it won't, it will throw it ball all over. Do you know, I want to challenge Watto on this. I'd love an answer. If you want structure, would you have Jake, and I'm not having a word Jake, for God's sake, Jake, we love you. Jake, Lola here, and Pricey same side, if you're going for structure. Thoughts, guys? Maybe even Ardlevet. I'll put Ardlevet in there.
I'll chuck on this then. It's obviously not coming true as of yet, so this is all.
Because you tipped these to win it.
Yeah, I did. I'd say what he's done is he's had the structure, and he's watched and gone. And obviously, I'm completely speaking what my view of what he's done is. Like I said, it could be completely wrong. But I think what he's done is he's watched his structure. I've got this very good structure here. That's the template of a top winning side, and let's add the sprinkle, let's add the sparkle. And I think he's added that sparkle. But instead of it adding on top, it's actually took from below. And I think that some of the structure's gone, and it's hindering them expressive players. But then it's also not letting the structure show for what he had in place for them 2 or 3 years that it were built, that the process was all built towards. And I think that's the balance that they're getting wrong.
Is it handing it to them? Is it as a coach saying?
You've not listened then, have you?
No. This is what I'm saying. Is it handing it to them? Which would be very hard for Watto to do. So Watto's saying, when we ground teams down, we couldn't open a door, so I'm going to bring the players in to open that door.
Yeah.
You can't coach them to open that door, which Watto likes to do. Powley likes to coach the top halves to play his way.
Yeah.
That's his system. Watto's more that system. How do you teach Lola here, played a bit of hooker actually the other day. Jake and Pricey, that I'd say it's more or less handing the keys over and saying we'll get you to there, but it's up to you.
Yeah, that's what Joe's saying. Yeah.
Problem being, it's an impossibility, in my opinion, to have that.
What, the mix of them both?
Fage is the most important player in that system because Fage is the only player who can play with that bit of structure to get him there. So if you have Lola here, you've got Pricey at full back. Yeah?
Lola
here.
Lola here.
Let's go Pricey. Then you've got Fage, who was best player they had the weekend. Then you've got to play Lola here and Jake without young Oliver, who were playing very good. Russell. So but where do you go, Joe? Where do you fit your three?
That physically can't fit. That's what you
Jimmy?
mentioned. No. You mentioned before. You yeah.
So what do they do?
Well, Law here at full back, Connor and Farge at half, and Price's going to have to bite the bullet for the time being.
Would you play Jake at centre?
No.
Wow.
I mean, I thought, who did you tip for? Was it Jake or Price for the big year?
No, Jake.
I don't think you can not play Jake or Honor, but it's the same problem as always with him, innit? 3 amazing performances every year, and then what? So I don't. My answer is I don't know. I think Lollaria is a man to play full back. And like you say, Fage has got to be in the arse.
Got to be Fage and thing, isn't it?
But I don't know. I haven't
You've
seen.
You've got to play Fage. I'll tell you.
Yeah, but 100%. But they've not had him for a while, have they? They've got him back now.
His Price would be like a 14th man.
Price would be the man I'd leave out because you can't help but think, well, he's not here next year. So I'm always get players who are bang up for it, desperate to perform. Maybe Ollie Russell's a better option. Leave Jake. The best games I've ever seen Jake have is when he's got a bit of freedom. I'd have him at centre happily.
I've always said that.
Because I think, I don't know, he always seems to do
for England,
the best.
He was sensational.
Yeah, but he does his best stuff when he's that little bit more on edge and he can.
It's a weird mixture though, isn't it? I'd love to speak to Ian if you ever got a chance. Said to Ian, what are you seeing there in what you like to do with process and then into letting them loose these individual players? That's a very individual player. Harvey's not going to gear 35 carries and 25 tackles. Harvey gets his hand on ball, likes to play. Yeah. He's like mixing a bit of that in. I wonder if, and it's like he's not trusted his other system where he'll go, let's just process them until we squeeze them, there's no left.
I don't know, I don't know.
Ollie Russell and
I think he trusts that process, but he's tried to add a bit of sparkle to that process.
Is that because he's third from the league and it hasn't worked?
No. That's got to do with nothing so far. That's where they're at. But I think.
But I'm saying, why do you think they're at that? Why do you think they're third from bottom and out of Challenge Cup?
Yes, I've just said because they're doing this process and the mix between his process and this sparkle hasn't worked. It's just that sparkle's took away from the process and the process has took away from the sparkle. And I think them two, he's wanted to mix them two together and make I think I did this analogy before, make a lovely cake. And instead of making
Never cut a cake in life, so that's weird.
I've cut more than you.
No, you
I have. And then the cake, the mixture's not worked, has it? And it's ended up being a bit sour and a bit off, hasn't it?
Do you know what? It's wow, sour cake. I find it. Do you know on paper, perfect toner.
Well, you replying to me. What do you think to what I said there?
I'm going to say perfect toner. Rich Thulis, perfect CEO, was in very loyal Holyfield. They don't. This is not a Featherstone where they pull a shot. Rich, you'd have to get a shot off Holyfield. You have to be really. Do you know what I mean? So you've got that lovely stability. Ken's putting $1.5 million a year in terms of and then you've got potentially the person we thought was the best coach in the comp for 3 years.
Coming out so
you're looking at that. What you're saying, I get about the mix, and I think that, but there's got to be something else. Whether the recruiting's not been great, whether something because
they've not had a solid half-back partnership.
To be fair, they've had loads of injuries. I think the last excuse they've got is the injuries.
They do play above the cap, Joe. They do have play above the cap. They play massively above the cap.
Yeah.
So that one should be a squad thing. They should have a lot of younguns coming through. Historically, they've always had some good younguns coming through. I worry for Huddersfield because, again, it's too good. Ken, Rich, Ian, lovely people around that club. Andy Kelly. Andy Kelly's you wouldn't have some more around the club. You, Luke, Robert. You know what I mean? You look in theory, you're looking and going, wow, as you did on paper, pre-season. These are the ones that it's time for things. And I said, well, it's definitely time to judge Ian. You can't rock this one and start again on process. This is the year that you have to judge him. And at the moment, it ain't good. And I watch it, and I don't. Do you know what? You'd love to get Ian to ask the questions to Ian if you didn't have all that process, and you could actually get to him and go, Ian, what's gone wrong this year? Because Ian's probably very good at going, there's nothing wrong. This is part of the journey. It's a journey. You go in. You get me? I don't think you'd ever get him. I'd love to get in, and I think for them, the fans is Ian's the right man for that job. No doubt. Nobody can be two-faced enough to say he wasn't the right man for that job. Everybody in Rugby League thought that was the best call ever. Foolish delivered, and they got the man they wanted. Yeah. They couldn't believe they got him. They were all after him. They got what he was massively touted for the Leeds job. Massively touted. So they got the best coach. I don't know if Huddersfield's jinxed a bit. I don't know. Because they've had Nathan Brown were regarded the best coach, and he went on and won a St Helens grand final when he left Huddersfield.
Went on to an RL.
You look at it and you go, Paul Anderson obviously won the league leaders, and they didn't. I don't know. I'd love to.
I think they need a massive second half of the season, and now they've got hopefully.
And they can do it, can't they?
Yeah, they can, and it's. For that team where every week's gone by, at the start of the season, when they were playing a weakened team and they were narrowly getting beaten, you were like, oh, you can see it coming, but next week they'll probably win. And it's obviously just gone on too long. Now that hopefully they're going to have the half-back partnership that Watson believes is his strongest for the first time, I think, in a very long time, maybe we will see the Huddersfield we've all been waiting for. Maybe do what Leeds did last year and just have a really good second half.
The other teams have kicked on. You think what's happened is...
Undoubtedly, because you look at... Warrington, Ulkr, Lee are far...
better than the one
and Lee are better than the team that went down.
Well, aren't they? Oh, God, sorry for
so, Warrington are obviously totally different. Catalans have surprised a lot of us that they're seemingly just as good. So, Wigan and Saints, it's bits and bobs here and there, but as a whole... I'd say so. There's only Castleford who have been significantly weaker.
Saints are 8th in the league.
Yeah, but we know that's not going to last. That's all the hangover from the World Club Challenge.
But they're still 8th in the league.
But they're still a very good team.
I agree.
I don't think the teams are. My eye test doesn't say, "Wow, what a better year it is compared to last year."
You've got to say KR are better, would you not?
Yeah.
Would you say Lee are better? Because obviously they want here.
Yeah, well, obviously they want there.
Would you say that...
certainly better than the team that went down.
Huddersfield are worse?
Huddersfield, obviously worse.
I only think there's Huddersfield and Castle.
Huddersfield
worse. Warrington definitely improved, haven't they? Because they brought 3 players.
But
Leeds are pretty much the same.
Huddersfield worse. Well, I think Leeds a bit worse from...
Yeah, good point.
From post... From
the end of last year.
From the end of last year. They're not playing as well.
Just on there.
Let me just go through it. You've got Saints who are worse at the moment. You've got excuse, but they're at this moment. They're worse at the moment. You've got a few Wakey are worse than last year.
Definitely.
So you've got... Yeah. I think it's it. I don't look at it.
Pretty much the same, man. Yeah.
I'm not thinking that.
So Huddersfield are just having a nightmare.
I think Huddersfield
are having a nightmare then.
Undoubtedly.
So you're saying the others are not that good, so you're going to go back, you can't sit on fence. Huddersfield are
doing
shockingly bad compared to last year.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not... Well, it's what I said, the sour cake analogy. I don't think that mixture's worked at the moment. That mixture of the sprinkle with the solidity.
You mentioned something there, though, on Huddersfield. And I don't know the answer there. I'll be honest, for you, I can pick something and I can say, you know it, but like off the record, when we're not on this, you go, I know exactly why that is. But I haven't got the answer for that. I don't think anybody
I don't.
I think Huddersfield are doing what Warrington did last year. But we, like you've just said there, we kind of knew the reasons why Warrington, albeit they were worse than we ever imagined. Or actually, no, you thought we were going to win it. But you know what I mean. Warrington, once it started happening, you could understand it. I suppose that's a better way of
I
doing
thought
it. You
Powell
could,
get it right.
yeah,
quick.
you could understand it once we'd seen what was uncovering. The big worry for Huddersfield is they're doing this now, and if they don't turn it around this second half of the season, it's not like Warrington where you think, well, we know next year when Powell has got his feet under the table and brought his players in there, great signings, they are going to be undoubtedly better. Huddersfield don't look like they'll be any better next year. I think Leeds will be better next year and the year after. You know, and that's the worry for Huddersfield. They've supposed to have been doing this, and it's been like, yeah, a little bit baby steps, better and better, hoping to actually finally do it. And actually now, without even getting there, they've slid off drastically with no signs of where it's going to turn around.
I think you've got a good point that way. I think you've got a good point though there. I think you, like you said, there's always normally when a team's doing bad or doing good, you can explain why. You can put a I genuinely cannot put a pinpoint on why they're not doing good.
Well,
for the first time ever, I generally don't know.
You'd have to go. They've been unfortunate with key players not being missing, but Huddersfield are big spenders with probably the strongest, biggest squad. So it's very hard to if that happens.
You've got Farjo and you bring Jake Connery.
Exactly.
And you've got him out and you bring him in.
My whole thing with that Huddersfield's best thing was the squad depth. That shouldn't be in it.